Hey, it's Mike with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's July 15th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and a real tight range basically for the entire day. We had a little downtrend here early on, but that's simply because we were coming off the highs and we were heading to the lows, and we did reach these, but we still spent 90% of the day inside this really tight range. You can see that all the way across there, and we closed inside of it. Just not much movement at all today. Um, so I'm going to back out just a little more. Actually, before I do that, I will show you. After getting this first leg down, once we started lower here, just in case we broke below the overnight lows, I would look for this target. That would be actually my first target would be the gap, to fill the gap. Notice that this is where we closed the previous trading day right here, and this is where we opened. So there's a gap there on the daily. And that would have been my first target. My secondary target would have been the overnight lows. And I usually use the closes, and notice we bounced to the tick there. If we kept going, then my next target would be the actual overnight low there. But generally those closes are going to get you real close, and you can see that. Um, so that would have been my targets. And then if we got through there, this would have been my next one, which would basically would have been the same as this. It looks like it's maybe a tick more. So that's how I would have looked for my targets. When we bounced here, if you have a good setup, I wouldn't be afraid to buy heading back up. So, but 7 o'clock came right in here. It really was, I think 7 o'clock was on the bar that closed here. I went ahead and marked this green just to, you can see the time there. Yeah, this bar closed at 7 o'clock. So you couldn't really get long until here unless you let this one come back and had a buy stop in there. And that would be the only way when it broke higher, you would think we were going to at least get to those highs. So I wouldn't have a problem. I don't think I would go long above this bar, but when it came back, the fact that it broke above this bar, I wouldn't have a problem maybe putting a limit order right there at that high, or maybe a tick in, and seeing if you could get out. And it would have gotten just enough ticks to get you out. I still think it's risky. I'd probably skip it. You would have preferred to get in down here, and that's way too early. And then of course you make the high, you get the close outside, and you high, and you make one more just in case. I mean, you can see I'm using those closes up through there. So these have closed outside, but it's probably debatable if it's not just like that right there. And then there's your close outside and new high. And that does look pretty accurate. But the way I originally had it, I was drawing it off the shorter term one. Oops, didn't mean to do that. But that's probably more accurate the way I drew it right there, excuse me. So if you had a good signal bar up here that gave you room to get out before getting back to the EMA, you might take that trade. Unfortunately, there's no chance for me to get in it. You get a lower high here. Again, not a very good signal bar. But you finally get a failed second entry short here, right where you would expect the trend line to be, and right off of it and the EMA. And there's still enough room before getting to our first target there. So I like that one. You know, it looked a little iffy when it broke lower finally and then just kind of stuck there, but it dropped on down. And you'll see that sometimes. So, I mean, the market's just not moving very quick or very fast or very volatile either. So you get a lot of these little bars that go nowhere really. So now you get your break. You move down. You still don't get a new low. It tries one more time, gets a new low. By that time, we're just going sideways. So I don't like going short right here because it's still moving up. Of course, you see you get your break and your new high, and then I don't have a very good signal bar here. You get a lower high here, but it's right back into that double bottom and right into the overnight lows. If we get through there, we're probably going to test this next, which would be the overnight low. This was actually the gap we were filling right here testing. And so you just can't go short right into that all that support right there. And you know, you want to look for a long most likely, and notice what happens. It breaks through, fails, and you get a second entry long, and you ride it right back to the top. And of course, you got a little short-term trend line moving up, break, new high, and now you get a second entry short. You got a second entry long, now a second entry short, right off the highs. We've tested several times. That's where you want to get short. Again, you get a lower high here, but not enough room, and that's basically a double bottom right there. You could actually argue to move that down at that point. And so you just don't have room to get out. And then we're just kind of bouncing around, and we finally get back in. I ended up moving this back up. So right here. You finally get back inside the range, and you bounce with a nice bullish bar. I like going long there. You get your true reversal right there. You still got room. I like going long again. And that takes you back to the highs, and that's your first break right there. But you just came off the high, so you probably want to see if you don't get a lower high, which you do, but it's getting to 2 o'clock and you don't really get a good signal bar. So there just wasn't much happening today. Market's really quiet now. It may stay this way a while. I mean, you got a couple of things to consider here. We're trading at all-time highs. We're not far off the all-time highs. It's summertime where it's automatically things are slower, the volatility's down. You just got to be real careful. And what I will tell you on these tight ranges, you got to be careful of just second entries and failures, and because you'll just get whipsawed. What you want to do is look for setups off the resistance at the highs going short, and setups off the support at the lows going long. Now, if you get a second entry off those points, that's something you want to consider. Like here, you get a first entry and then a second entry on a little failed break lower. And then you get a first entry and a second entry off the highs. I mean, that's worth considering. But just because you get a second entry in here somewhere along the way, like right here, you got a second entry. I don't know if I'd have taken that or not, because look, if you took the second entry, then it looked like a failure. Then it looked like a failure to the other side. Then that's what I'm kind of talking about. You just kind of get whipped to pieces there, and you get whipsawed. So you got to be real careful about those. Sure, second entries with the trend like this coming down are off the highs or off the lows. You still want to consider those, but just be careful. I mean, if this wasn't after 2 o'clock, this was out here, anything you took there, you pretty much got whipsawed on. And that's the concern. The only thing that worked was a little small short off the high, and then of course a little higher low, because your lows have moved up now off the lows here. Otherwise, look how nothing works. You just kind of whips back and forth and traps you all over the place, and that's what you got to be careful of. So if you don't take anything else away from today, study this and understand why when it gets real tight like this that you just stay out of it. The only way to enter is on good signal bars that are real close to the low going long, or signal bars that are real close to the high going short. And they got to be good signal bars. In other words, that's a nice bearish signal bar. That's a nice bullish signal bar in the right place. There's your nice signal bar off the lows in the right place. Here's your nice short when it's in the right place and it's bearish. So you like it even better if it closes on its low. This one, look at this one. This looks like a spectacular entry, and you would have just got whipsawed. And that's what you got to be careful of. So you need to get in way up here. You can't afford to get in way down here already back into the lows, because it just goes a few ticks and hits the low and reverses. So that's the learning. That's really the only learning lesson from this today, because there's not many trades. Still enough to make a good, to get your 2 or 3 trades, but you got to be patient. You got to sit here and wait on those good setups. So anyway, I'm not going to beat around the bush. There's not much else to talk about today. So short and sweet, to the point. Hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.